freedom.
Okay, we're starting. Jamie's freedom is finished. Okay, so as I said, I want to give you a technique that always works. Right? So at the moment, if I give you something like 4x plus 3 equals 11, you are able to do that.
Yeah.
Alright? But the method you probably have is to do it in your head and think, oh, what goes to what. And that's fine, but what we've got to do is get a method that you can do on paper, that if the equation gets a little bit more difficult, you are still able to use the same technique. Okay?
We do 11 divided by 3.
No, we can't do 11 divided by 3.
Alright, I'm going to give you this.
Right, so what we do, you have to think, well, like you are already, what happens, or what do you do when you put the value of x in? So like you were before, you were substituting x into the expression to give it a value. Now you think, well, what would I have done with that x to get to the answer 11? I'm pretty sure that's what's going on in your head. So what would be the first thing that you would do to x? Joe?
11 take with 3.
Hang on, you're going the other way here. What would you do if I didn't tell you at 11, I just said 4x plus 3. If I said, well, x is 8, what would you do first to work out the value?
4 times
4.
So you do this bit first, wouldn't you? Which is a, what does 4x mean?
4 times.
4 times. So first thing you would do is times by 4. Okay? That's the first thing you would do, Leah. You with us? Yeah? Good. Right. After you've times by 4, you get an answer, and the next thing you would do is what?
You would find a number that would be small enough that you could times by 4 plus 3.
No, I think you're doing got the wrong thing in your head. Imagine I've just given you 4x plus 3 with no answer. So let's forget about that one at the moment. 4x plus 3, no answer. If I told you x is 8, what would you do to find the value? That thing you were doing before. So the first thing you would do is times it by 4 and then
Add plus 3.
plus 3. Okay?
So 27.
And you would get the answer. So in this case, the answer would be 27. Okay? Now, let's say I tell you that the answer is now 27. 4x plus 3 equals 27. We've got to try and find the number that goes in to make 27, yeah? So what would you do? What do you do in your head? Yeah?
I do 4 times what makes something, and then if you add 3.
Yeah, but 4 times what makes something?
4 times something. 4 times.
Has to be what?
4 times 4.
No, but 4 times what equals something, you said, but the something has to be.
4 times 5.
But why?
Because if you do 4 times 5, that's 25. No, 5 times. No, that doesn't work.
You're saying 4 times something plus 3 makes 27. So what puzzle do you solve in your head?
4 times 6 plus.
Do you do a guess, complete guess, do you?
No,
No,
you
4
just
times 6.
you have to try and think of a number that adds
You do 4
That
times 1, 4 times
gives
2.
you
That you add
24. Yeah.
So something add 3 makes 27.
Yeah.
So first of all, if I say something add 3 makes 27, what must this something be?
24.
24. Okay? And that's what goes on in your head, doesn't it? So the first thing you do is you try and discount the 3, don't you? Alright? So you're saying, well, 4x has to equal 24. because you've got rid of the 3. And then what do you say?
That means x is 6.
So you find something that makes the answer, so it makes x equals 6. Now what I want to try and do is give you a method of writing that down, alright, instead of just doing it in your head. So I'm going to do exactly the same problem, okay, so we're going to start with 4x plus 3 equals 27, but I'm going to write down what you do in your head, alright, so first thing you do in your head is what?
Times 4. You find something.
When we go back.
Oh.
It's not actually. The first thing you do, well, something times 4 makes what?
24.
24. So what did you do first? You had to find the
Find out
24.
what a number minus 3 makes.
Yeah, so we have to go.
27 minus 3.
First thing we do is we have to take away that 3 from both sides. Alright? So if I write it like that, that then gives me the solution that I'm looking for, which we have here. Yeah? So 4x plus 3 minus 3 leaves what?
0.
4x plus 3 minus 3 makes just
0.
4x, because that does become 0, you're right. And then 27 minus 3 becomes the 24, which is what we have here. Okay? Now, this is the bit people kind of don't quite get sometimes. When I have 4 lots of something equals 24, how do you actually mathematically find it? Now what you do is you, in your head, you say 4 times what makes 24, but there's actually a mathematical operation for that,
Oh,
which is
24 divided by 4.
brilliant. Division by 4. So what I do is I can divide both sides by 4. Okay. And then what I have is 4x divided by 4 is
2. So
1x. Yeah. I've got 4 x's shared out of 4. I get 1x. And 24 divided by 4 is 6. Now I'm aware that at the moment, I see Nico there cross arms, he's not writing this down because it's much easier the other way. Okay, and I'm aware that at the moment you're probably looking at that going, but that's much more complicated than I'm doing at the moment. Alright? However, the maths that you're going to do will get much more complicated as the years go by, and you've got to have a technique that will always work. And learning a technique like this will help you always. You will solve every equation. But there's one thing that I haven't written, or we've just done it and you did it straight away, easily. You have to do things in the correct order. So, I'm going to write that down. Okay? Things must be done in the correct order. Now, does anyone know what I mean when I say that, and why there's a problem if I don't do it in the correct order? What do I mean by that? Jane?
You have to do things in the right order because then it won't make the same answer if you do x plus 3 and then times it by 4, it will be different to the answer that you actually did.
Perfect, yeah.
Well, like, because you said that algebra, everything you can do with numbers, you can do no, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that means, but if in numbers, for example, if you go like 2 plus 1 or 1 plus 2, it gives you the same answer. But
Yeah.
in algebra, it doesn't. But there's
No, with algebra it does. But what Jamie said is very true. With this, you do the times 4 first, don't you? And then you do the plus 3.
Because if you do x plus 3, it won't give you the same
Exactly.
answer.
If you were to do plus 3 first and then times by 4,
6 plus 3.
okay,
9.
you would get the wrong answer. Okay? Now that's the same as when you're solving. So if you do the solving in the wrong way, Okay, so for instance, if we were to do 4x plus 3 equals 27 again, well, what if we were to try and divide by 4 first? So I did that. What would you end up with? You might say, well, that's x plus 3 equals, I don't know, deal with fractions, can't we? But it doesn't work. Do you know why it doesn't work? Because the divide by 4 has to be done last, because when we put it in, it's the first thing that's done. Okay? So we'll write down this cannot be done in this order. Okay, so very important. This one's fine, this one's wrong for this particular expression. So let's go back to that one we had first off, which was 4x plus 3 equals 11 now. Last one I'm going to do with you. Okay. So first thing we have to do is, Giselle?
First thing we have to do, we have to like x.
Well, that's what we're trying to find, so how do we find it? What's the first thing we do?
We have to do like minus 1 from
Why 1? Correct with minus, but minus what?
well,
So if we added 3, the first thing we should do is
that's 3 because
take away the 3. So we take away the 3 that side as well. So we end up with just 4x equals
it goes 8
8.
and
The next stage, if we've got 4 x's make 8, the next stage is 2.
yeah 4 I'm sorry, like from waiting.
Leader, go on.
4 by 2.
Divide by what though? We have to do the process. I know what the answer is, but just to make sure we write it down. So we have
8 divided by 4.
Okay, so we divide both sides by 4. I want to keep that. We do the same to both sides, and we get left with x equals 2 is the answer. Okay? Any questions on that? No? Right, so what I'm going to ask you to do, so it's page 65, question 4. That's what you're going to practice. Now, what I want to see in your book is the working out, not just the answer now. So you may have done the first couple without any working out, but I want you to practice your working out. Okay?